Oh, good. They have a reminder now. Well, first of all, Glenn, it would be incredibly uncool for me to tell you how much this means to me. But I don't care. This is a huge deal for me because I'm a huge fan. And, uh, and so is my son, actually, 16 years old. We just spent quite a bit of time in driving across Wyoming, listening to Squeeze songs.
Wow.
As we were, as I was thinking about this interview. And he says,
that's really sweet.
Yeah, it was great. So I have to ask, I mean, this is such a strange year. What has been the best thing and maybe the worst thing about trying to tour in America in 2021?
Well, the best thing was actually when the plane landed here, and that felt like the final obstacle towards getting here after having to jump through a series of hoops, really, to get here, and bearing in mind, of course, that this is the third time that we've attempted this tour and the first time that it's actually got off the ground. So, I had, when we were rehearsing in London, I had a sort of semi-permanent fear of everything being cancelled. So to actually make it here, just to make it here, was an incredible feeling. And then, we had our first date in Nashville, playing at the Ryman Auditorium, and it just felt like so special to be able to play. You realise that something you've always taken for granted is in fact an incredible gift. I've tried never to take anything for granted, but I sure do appreciate what I've got in my life now.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the worst bit is, just trying to keep ourselves free of any virus as a touring group. So we're more or less strictly in our own bubble. We're not really meeting people, production people on tour, are all masking up and all that stuff. And it has to be that way. We're not out of the woods yet by any stretch of the imagination, I think.
Yeah. This is the 40th anniversary of East Side Story. And of course, Tempted is on the album. Are you going to be digging deeper into that album for your set list?
We are already digging deeper into that record than we ever have done. This is not a tour in honor of that. It's 40 years since it came out. But, so for instance, we've rehearsed a version of F-Hole, which we've never done live before. And to me, because I hadn't revisited that song since doing it, it feels so fresh. We're in a really great place at the moment with Squeeze, where we can, we have an incredible back catalogue, and we can reach out to all directions. But we're doing quite a lot of East Side Story, on this tour so far. We're changing it up a bit as well, though.
Excellent. This is the album, of course, that won you comparisons to Lennon and McCartney. I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, it's not really something that I pay any attention to. It was very flattering at the time. I think it threw us slightly off course. I think we got a bit. I think that's the only time in my life where I've ever felt slightly like I might be drying up for songs, because that put an incredible pressure on us. But hey, it's very flattering. What great people to be compared to.
Yeah, I've always thought that you and Chris Difford have more of an Elton John, Bernie Taupin thing going on, though, don't you? With Chris coming up with lyrics and then you finding melodies that belong to them.
There's not a day goes by that I don't think how extraordinary it is that we lived half a mile from each other and managed to meet, and that the chemistry between us would be so apparent from when we met, still to this day. It's one of life's incredible coincidences, and you can't help but wonder what if we didn't? What would have happened then? I don't know.
Do you have a favorite of his lyrics? Was there ever a moment where he handed you something and you were like, wow?
Right now, another song we're doing from Archie Barges, a song called I Think I'm Go-Go. And the further away we get from writing those songs, the more they become like diary entries for me. And each verse in that song is about being either in London, New York, or Amsterdam, which is what we did within 1 week in 1979. And that's when touring was still relatively fresh to us, and being bewildered by travel, and also coincidentally really existing in your own bubble of speech and experience within the group, you become a bit sort of detached from reality. And that song really captures that for me.
Yeah. When I play squeeze songs, I always crank up I'll start it again. When I play squeeze songs with my son in the car, I always crank up the guitar solos. To me, you know, they're not blues based. They're not a melody you've already heard in this song. You know, they're not easy to do. What makes a great guitar solo to you?
Well, for me, you know, I'm not that good at improvising stuff. And so when I do a solo, I will try and compose it. And that, you know, one of my favorite guitarists is a guy called Amos Garrett, who played with Jeff and Maria Muldaur. And when we were working with John Wood on early Squeeze records, he had worked with Amos Garrett and told me that one of the ways that he likes to do solos was to do like 3 notes, drop in, drop in, drop in until it was perfect. And that really sealed the deal for me. I did quite a lot of the stuff, like the solo for Another Nail in My Heart. You know, it took me an afternoon, but I knew I could learn it, and it would flow and hopefully retain interest more than what I would do normally, which is a blues-based solo. That's where my playing starts and ends, I think. And
you can still knock it out at the drop of a hat. The Another Nail in the Heart solo.
Oh yeah, yeah. It goes like that because it goes like that.
Another Squeeze trademark is having Chris singing. I don't know if it's a full octave lower than you, but how did you discover that arrangement?
You know, just by when we started singing together in 1973, and we worked out a few songs we could do. That's where we gravitated towards without even talking about it. That's how we sounded when we opened our mouths together, and that's quite an extraordinary thing to have a sound that's as identifiable as that just comes out of how you are. It's lovely.
It really is, and you hear it on Happy Days, which seems like the right note to end on. You know, off the top of my head, I can't think of a Squeeze song that takes you to a dark place. It doesn't seem like that was really ever the purpose of this band.
Yeah, that's sort of true. There's some darker songs, I guess. You know, we're doing, for instance, at the moment we're doing Cold Shoulder from the Some Fantastic Place album, and that's about Chris's descent into drinking and, you know, and the other side of coming out of that and giving up. But I think whenever I get a dark lyric from Chris, my instinct is to make it more palatable. So they tend to be the more chirpy tunes to contradict the depressing nature of some of the lyrics. Not that they're depressing in themselves, but subject matter sometimes.
So are you looking forward to Seattle? Is there anything about Seattle that brings good memories for you?
Oh, I absolutely love Seattle. It's one of my favorite places. I love the cheese there. I'm a big cheese fanatic. It's a beautiful place, and it's a very inspirational place. It has, like any great city, it has its own identifiable thing, culture. You know, the culture there is great, and I always look forward to going there. Not as much as we haven't been there as much as I would like, but we've started to come more regularly these days.
Well, we look forward to having you here, and obviously your band has a deserved place between Bruce Springsteen and Steely Dan and every good record collection.
Oh, cool. Well, that's very great company. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to hit record, stop the record, and yes, let's see, stop.